Purpose is not a title, it is a pattern. Welcome again to our YouTube channel. I'm so excited to have you again this week. And have you subscribed? Have you liked our previous videos? Have you dropped a comment? Please share this. If you are a leader, if you are somebody who wears many hats, you should be here. All right, let's get right into today's video. Like I said at the beginning, purpose is not a destination. You're not going, it's not somewhere you're going to go and happen. And purpose may feel really confusing for many leaders, as interesting as that is. It's true. It is research driven, it is fact that many leaders do not know they cannot really define their purpose. And it's confusing to leaders because many leaders tie their purpose to their current roles, to their titles, the tie to what they are doing, to their responsibilities, to their assignment. I've spoken with one of my teachers before, and she was like, "Talk to me about you." And when she was going to end the question, she said, "Don't tell me what you do. Don't tell me if you are not a mom, you are not a wife, you are not a pastor, you are not a coach, you are not an HR professional, you are not all of that. Who are you? What is your purpose? Define you. Talk to me about it." And at that time, I struggled because I was like, yeah, because if you look at it practically, many leaders don't say, "Oh, talk to me about you. Hey, my name is Pelumi Adeuyi. I'm a professional. I am this, I am that." And those things that you mentioned are usually tied to the role that you're carrying, the responsibilities that you're carrying. And so, as a leader, or as somebody who carries many responsibilities, purpose can be confusing. And that is why I usually say this: purpose is not your role. Purpose is not your job. Purpose is not your title. Purpose is not the influence you have, right? Purpose is not even your success. Because purpose is not a destination, it's a pattern, it's a journey, right? And as a leader, it is very easy to confuse what your purpose is with the title that you have and what you're carrying. And that is very dangerous. Because the danger of it is when you're stripped of those things, when you're stripped of those responsibilities, of those titles, what will remain of you? How would you define yourself? And we have seen many people go into depression, people that they've held high roles before, or they've been doing really well in the places that they find themselves, and maybe they suddenly lose their jobs, or they lose the kind of influence that they used to have, and we hear that they go into depression because of that, because they felt that their whole life was tied to that title, to that job. And I don't want that to be you. If you're listening to me right now and you're a leader, you carry so many responsibilities, it is very dangerous when you tie your purpose solely to those titles or those responsibilities that you have. It is very dangerous, and you need to know how to detach yourself. So as much as those things are part of the purpose fulfillment, if it is part of it, by the way, it doesn't define it. They don't define your purpose. So how do you understand what purpose is? Purpose shows up in your life in patterns. It leaves clues. Purpose leaves clues, and I wrote a bit about it in my book, Purpose Blueprint. Purpose Blueprint, if you have not gotten it, please go ahead and read it. It shows up in patterns. It shows up in different areas of your life, and that is why I usually talk about purpose integration. Purpose can be integrated in the different various areas of your life. It is actually when it reflects in all those places, that is when you actually live a life of fulfillment. Not that you're going to a destination, not that there's a place that you're now going that purpose will now happen. No, it already shows up in patterns. It already shows up in clues. You only need to pay attention to those clues, right? And when you don't pay attention to those clues, you start to take on things and take on responsibilities simply because they feel good, they feel all right. You find yourself saying yes to every nice things or every nice responsibilities that come to you. Many of those responsibilities may not actually be aligned to your purpose, may not be aligned to your current assignment, may not be aligned to who you are meant to be. And what happens? You start to drop the ball in important areas of your life. You find yourself being at home but not in the house. What does that mean? You're just in the house physically, but you're not there in mind because you're still carrying so many baggage and so many things that was supposed to be left somewhere. You would not be able to define your boundaries properly. Why? Because there is misalignment. When there is misalignment, when there's disintegration of purpose, it is very dangerous for you as a leader because it causes burnout. You get burnt out, you get really stressed. Your willpower, like I mentioned in my last video, becomes wane. You won't be able to then perform at the level of success that you really want to. Misalignment creates frustration. You get frustrated. You feel like nothing is working. You feel like everything is too much for you. You get overwhelmed by the things that are happening and you don't want that to happen. Now, what do you need to be able to create the right kind of alignment? It is reading. Call it reading. And you need to reset your reading. You need to reset your flow because it is your reading that helps to sustain your purpose. We talked about systems last week that helps with sustainability, right? But we talked about if you want to sustain even those systems, you've got to build the right reading. Reading sustains your purpose. It makes you to know what should flow into what. It makes you to integrate purpose into the different areas of your life. It helps you to create daily alignment with the goals that you have written at the beginning of the year or the things that you really want to achieve. Because no matter the goals that you have and the things that you have written down, if there is no daily alignment with those things, you're wasting your time. Right. There's was it James Clear? Yes. Atomic Habit that said that you don't rise to the level of your success, you fall to the level of your system. And you don't just rise to the level of system, you fall to the level of your habits. And habits are formed consistently daily. And I'm sure as a leader, I'm sure you know that. And I'm just reminding you that alignment doesn't happen all of a sudden, right? It happens by consistent intentional action that are aligned with your purpose. And the way you can create that consistent intentional action is by creating the reading that carries it well, that carries it even under pressure, that makes sure that it doesn't break even under pressure, because you can't take out pressure. It's inevitable for you to take out pressure from your life. But what carries it, like I said, is that reading, and it helps you to create a daily system. Let reading be the anchor that carries that purpose, that work that you're working on the current level of your life, right? Now, I want you to ask yourself this question: what patterns define my leadership? What patterns have you noticed? I want you to pay attention to your patterns, because that is the way you can repeat success consistently. The last time you got success, you were successful in an assignment, what did you do? What made it happen well? What can you do in those places, and how can you recreate it in other areas of your life that you feel like you are not already doing? So what patterns define your leadership? The places where you're leading well, what things are you doing? What things have you noticed that you have done? How did you adjust your life? What were the things you gave away? What were the things that you protected? What was the timing that you put into it, right? What are the things that you did that created the level of success that you saw at that time? Because when you don't pay attention to patterns, your success will not be repeatable. You'll not be able to recreate success at an exponential level. All right? So what patterns define my leadership? Another question you need to reflect on as a leader is, where do my readings contradict my values? And now this is very important. You can't build a sustainable reading for your life when it is contradicting your values. So you need to do that audit, carry out that audit, and say, where Where do my readings contradict my values? Because they need to align. They need to align. Also, you need to say what needs recalibration. What do I need to recalibrate? What needs to change? What do I need to move around? And this is the point where I talk about the purpose integration framework. I wrote about it in my book, and I have a whole course for it, the purpose integration framework. And you can also buy it. It is available for sale. The whole course. It is a framework that I've put together. It talks about the 5 pillars of purpose integration, and that goes from self to skill to service, social, and spirituality. These 5 pillars it needs to transcend. Purpose needs to go through all of those things, and I have a course for it. And then if you're looking at how do I start with this reset, how do I start with this reading thing that you're talking about, get into my DM into my check my Instagram page right now, and you see the link in there. Click on it and you can download the 5 steps to reading this. Download it and look at the practical ways you can carry those things out. And if you need help in going deeper, you want a deeper work on it, because you have to create a lasting system. You have to create a reading that supports the current level. Look at one-on-one. Let's get this started. Purpose is practiced. It is not postponed. Purpose is not something that is coming to happen. It is something that happens in your life. Purpose always lives with. Now we end it with this. Every day, live your purpose day. Build your systems. Work on your structure. Work on your values. Make sure you're consistent with your values day. Live it day. Don't forget to subscribe, hit a like, and leave a comment until I come your way again. Bye.